I know what everybody wants to hear about after that race. It isn't the 1-2 from McLaren.
Definitely isn't.
It's the two Titans going head-to-head. The big story. Nico Hulkenberg in 5th place. No, I'm kidding. We will get to that, though, which was pretty cool, Tim. I'm not going to lie. I was so thrilled for that guy. Still not a podium, but maybe one of these days, man. Nico needs a podium before his career is over.
He got close, Adam.
He got close. That's closer than I think he got most of the time when he was with Renault, and they were supposed to be on podium.
Yeah, that's right.
Max Verstappen, 3 penalty points for the George Russell crash on the last lap. It puts him on to 11 penalty points. If he gets a 12th, he faces a 1-race ban, which is wild to think about. And it also cost him a 10-second penalty, which put him in 10th place for 1 point. So all that effort for the entire weekend undone by some road rage. Let's call it what it is. So, Tim, we're going to go right to the end of the race here. This is what matters. We're on the last couple of laps, and what happens? Explain it for people that might not remember it in the detail that I know is racing through our heads right now.
It's, I think, Adam, when we take a look at obviously what the end result was and we try to unpack it, yeah, I think you're right. We kind of have to go backwards through this and then go chronological through the entire thing. If you're going from Kimi Antonelli, obviously leaving the track with a PU issue, power unit issue, oil pressure issue is what I was told from Mercedes that put him out of the race, brought out the safety car. Everyone's coming into pit lane, right? That's like a free stop, essentially. So everyone's diving into pit lane, and obviously Red Bull has to pit Max. So they bring Max in, and Adam, they put him on to the hard tire, and a brand new hard tire. Now, everyone else is going on to softs. Everyone still has tire allocation sort of left, and they all have soft tires left. And I think that's something that we should definitely talk about when we're done kind of dissecting this one. So Max gets put onto the hard tire, and he's asking the team, why am I on this tire? So clearly some frustration there with the team already. That's been established. Then the hard tire doesn't allow you to sort of warm it up easily and allow you to use it straight away. It's not a great tire to do safety car restarts on, especially when everybody else is running a better tire. So anyways, Max is coming out of the last corner and he has a huge snap. It was an incredible save. Verstappen made an incredible save. And Leclerc, I think, was great to react to it as well, because he could have easily gotten collected and it could have been a very serious accident. But Max had a really great save there. So two of them drag racing each other down, start finish straight away, and Leclerc bumps Verstappen, and eventually Leclerc gets by. And that's a hairy bump to get when you're going down the start finish straight away at over 300 kilometers an hour. So that's going to spike the adrenaline that's already spiked. It's going to be even higher at that point. As Max goes down into turn 1, George Russell, he sends one, like he does. He sends one in there. And all fair play to George Russell. There was a gap there, so for sure you've definitely got to you got to go for it. So he did. The two made contact, and Max goes off track.
Right.
And this is where it all kind of really begins, because Max is then told to give the spot to George. And over the radio, he's arguing with the team. He's arguing with Jean-Pierre Lambiase. Like, why do I have to give it back? What's the reason for that? Blah, blah, blah. And they're going back and forth. And he's obviously getting pissed off, right? You can just hear it over the radio. And he finally is thinking about it by the looks of things, because as they get to turn 5, he pulls over, slows down, and Russell thinks, oh, okay, he's going to let me go by here and take the spot. And as he's trying to go by, Max rams into the side of him. And so all of these little things that I just sort of detailed were the lead up into frustrations for Verstappen, just seeing red mist and just everything boiling over, and literally letting George know how frustrated he is with him by banging into the side of him. Now, we can sit here and say whatever we want. At the end of the day, it's not right. Shouldn't have done it. Got a 10-second time penalty for it. everyone seems to think that that is not enough. Now, before everyone starts shooting off, they should probably also go back and take a look that the stewards slapped him with the 3 penalty points on his super license, which you referenced off the top, because that's the most important thing about this now, is the fact that he is 1 penalty point away from a 1-race ban. 4-time Formula One world champion, who at the start of this weekend was right in the thick of it for the driver's title, now facing a potential 1-race ban if he's to get another point added to his super license, which is easy to come by the way, because all he has to do is not see a waved yellow flag and blow by that. Stewards bring him in. They could easily dock him, or they can easily add a penalty point to his license. And so, Adam, when you take a look at these penalty points that Max has got, you must think like, okay, well, it's 12 within a calendar year, so that's 12 months. So what are we talking about here? So the first 2 penalty points that he has, they don't expire on his super license until June 30th. So the end of June, 2 penalty points will be removed from his super license. However, he's still going to be within striking distance of that 12 until the end of October. So he'll be 3 shy of the 12 until the end of October, from June 30th to the end of October. So if we go back in time and we take a look at, okay, well, how is he able to accrue so many? Right. So you had 2 penalty points at the Austrian Grand Prix for the incident with Lando Norris when they're going up the hill into turn 3 and they made contact. There's 2 penalty points there. There's another 2 penalty points for the incident with forcing Lando off track in Mexico. There's a 1 in Brazil for, I believe it was a virtual safety car infringement. There's another 1 in Qatar. That one has to do with George Russell. That was impeding George Russell in qualifying, and that's when those 2 had a huge fallout from that. So there's a penalty point there. There's 2 penalty points at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That was for contact with Oscar Piastri. If I remember correctly, it was off of the start in turn 1. And then today's 3 points with his collision with George, bringing us to a total of 11. So, Adam, that's kind of the meat and potatoes, sort of all of it. And he's really shot himself in the foot with this Drivers' Championship.
Well, he's got to behave. I think it's interesting. Oh, I just pulled my microphone right out of its socket. It's interesting because when people are upset about this, and I know that Nico Rosberg said he should have been black flagged. I actually agree with that, but I think the FIA made the right choice in retrospect because it's going to force Max, at very least till the end of June, to behave. He's not going to be able to do anything, and it's going to, if Max has been black flagged, I mean, I guess he could still have penalty points too, but I feel like this is sort of better because it's going to force him to be as careful as possible. And that's them sending a message of, okay, we're not going to do that, Max. That's not going to happen. And there is a world where Max Verstappen has the edge taken off of his drive because he is such an aggressive driver. And because he's got to behave, he's got to be careful. Now, Tim, my question to you is, all of these penalty points are awarded after a race. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. So they will be, I mean, as soon as the documentation comes out and that comes across to us, because we basically get notifications from the stewards, and the stewards email us. Basically, you can see them online. The FIA publishes them to the public, but we get those straight to our inboxes, and it's a breakdown of the offense, the reason, who is involved, the description, and what the outcome is.
Yep.
And then in the outcome, the stewards will say, this is what we've given them plus this.
Okay. Well,
and so that's usually what it's called. And you get those at, usually you get them after every session.
Right. Okay. I'm looking at Nico Hulkenberg's black flag from last year, which was honestly like that was the first one in 17 years. So they don't like to give these out. But what he did, he basically, I mean, it's nothing. It was in Brazil last year. If anybody wants to look it up, it's nothing compared to what Max did today in terms of. I mean, both were dangerous, but you have to look at like what was on the ropes here for Max and George. And I think part of it, Tim, has to be that George, like it's George. He friggin' hates George, dating back to Qatar last year, right? It's if it had been anybody else, I wonder if it would have happened at all. I think it's just because he knew it was George Russell, and he was like, not to this person. I'm already having a shit day. Now I got to give up a place to this, whatever fill in the blank here that he would call George. And I feel like he was mad at the team. He's mad at his drive. And then it's George Russell. And then all of a sudden we got a road rage incident. And it's interesting because, I got the comments here from George Russell. He said, my perspective is that I got crashed into. I don't really know why or what the thinking was behind it. In the end, I'm glad I continued with a little damage and ultimately pushed him a lot more than me. Punished him a lot more than me. That's how Max goes racing. As I said, he was P4, I was P5, I ended up P4, he ended up P10. So from my side, I'm glad I managed to finish the race. Not really sure what he was thinking because he cost himself and his team a lot of points. So no conversation is really required. And he did make a reference to like, hey man, kids are watching. Which, I can understand why Max kind of goes, yeah, I'll get my tissues out, which is what he did. The thing is, George, when he lost me at that, Tim, like everything else he said was perfect. Leave it at that. You don't need to be like, well, there's kids watching. I mean, there's kids that watch a lot of stuff. Max, for his part, said, I don't really need to say anything about it because it doesn't matter anyway. Actually, it does. He said, I had a big moment there on the last corner. Unfortunately, the hard tires have very low grips, so that was quite painful. Basically, we just ran out of tires. In hindsight, it was better to stay. Was it better to stay out? Maybe. I don't know. It's always easy to say afterwards because of those hard tires. You get into those situations. I think the strategy was good. I think it worked for us. It was the best way forward. It was racy, and I liked it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the benefits at the end. That's not a guy taking responsibility. Now, Tim, stepping out of our shoes where we get to watch at home on our couches and into the shoes of a driver, do you expect in the moments after an event like that for a driver to really take responsibility?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, right?
Yeah. I just want you to, like, when your hackles are up and you're pissed and there's adrenaline pumping through your veins.
And it's hard, dude. Like the adrenaline is like through the roof,
rough.
right? Like the adrenaline's like it's addictive, man. It's the adrenaline from racing, man, it's something I've never experienced. I've never been able to experience anywhere else. Like it's
really,
oh yeah, like it's man, it's like a high. You have no idea. And it's hard to say. I mean, like Max was like he was pissed, right? And I think not the thing that looked the worst on him, I guess, is just not really, I guess, admitting to anything at all, right?
Yes, yeah, he didn't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, and I guess if you're a viewer at home and you're watching that, I mean, that can make that tough to watch. Like if you're basically, what you saw. Everyone pretty much said the same thing. Mm-hmm. But as a driver trying to communicate that, I mean, you do have to use the media you do have to use the media sometimes as a driver.
Yes.
And you have to use it properly. He could have probably done a better job at maybe capitalizing in that moment a bit more, but he didn't. And
well, it was interesting hearing his back and forth with the reporter was, well, it doesn't matter. And she said, but it does matter. Like, I have to give the F1 TV reporter, I forget her name at the moment because I'm terrible with names, but she stuck it on him, and she stuck it on Lewis too. A little bit later, we can talk about that. But she was like, you're going to have to answer this question. And the question is, and he obviously kind of obfuscated, didn't want to get into it. Cause I think if he'd really taken responsibility, he would have lost his mind. Like he would have really, we'd have seen a blow up on camera, which is probably for the best. I don't see him taking full responsibility for this in the future, but it is a very interesting turn of events, and I wonder what the conversation will be tomorrow. Like Christian Horner has won championships with this guy over and over and over again, but frankly, you can't do what he did, and you can't allow that at a team.
Yeah, I don't think Christian talked to anybody after the race either.
That's what he said. I got his quotes here if you want them.
Oh, he did.
He did. Yeah, he gave interviews to at least F1's got it. So he said Max had a snap at the restart. Charles got alongside him, and it looked like he pulled left on him. Then George obviously tried to capitalize on that into turn one, and it was very marginal. On recent experience and looking at the incidents, it's obviously subjective. It's not really subjective. He said it looked for all intents and purposes that it was going to be a penalty. So therefore, we instructed Max to give the place back, which he obviously was upset about and annoyed about because he felt, one, he'd been left no space, and two, that George hadn't fully been in control. So after a conversation with his engineer, we elected to give the place back at turn 5, and there was contact between the two cars. I haven't had a chance to speak with Max from his side, but obviously the stewards deemed he got a collision in 10 seconds and some penalty points. Unfortunately, it was obviously very frustrating because it leaves us with 1 point in the entire afternoon, which should have been an easy podium. And Max doesn't make mistakes like that, Tim. And I've got Toto's comments in a second, but I'm curious about what you think about Christian Horner, because he's put in the unenviable position of being the guy that's trying to hang on to this championship driver and also having to say, hey, man, you really lost it out there and you really fucked up for the team.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot there. I mean, I'm trying to think how many points Max must have costed himself today. It had to be at least 9 points that he at least coughed up from everything. But there are, we'll start with his race in general was actually really smart. Like, he was driving a very, very good race. Like, he was on for a great three-stop strategy. That safety car obviously really threw a huge wrench into things. No more mediums, no more softs for Verstappen. Obviously that's a frustrating thing to have to deal with. And that, again, comes down to that tire allocation I was sort of talking about off the top there. And I think, Adam, we should start on Thursday coming in to the weekend, because coming into this weekend, hearing from Max and hearing him say, and we'd already recorded before we heard this, but hearing him say that he doesn't feel like he has he's a part of this championship battle. Like, he doesn't feel like he's in one.
Which
that to me rings alarm bells. Like, just
what did you think? What did you think he meant by it?
He doesn't feel like he's in the championship battle. He doesn't feel like he is a part of it. He doesn't feel that that's legit. That's what I read into it. But if you go back to Imola, I just want to rewind again. If you go back to Imola, team brings upgrades to the car. They look like they work. They're more competitive than McLaren. Mm-hmm. Tire management's way better. And there seems to be a lot of optimism around the team at that point. And I'm like, okay, here we go, right? Yeah, we got ourselves something going on here. Then we get to Monaco. We always knew Monaco was going to be damage limitation. Mm-hmm. We talked about it on the show. We didn't think Red Bulls were going to be that good anyways. Sure enough, it was a bit of a struggle. And then coming into Spain, I thought that this was going to be a track for Red Bull Racing. I really thought that this was going to be a track that they could actually maybe make some ground in the championship. And then you have Max saying what he had said, and I was just like, okay, what is going on here? Because that's not something I ever really hear from this guy. Like, that's really strange that he would say something like that. And I think, Adam, coming into the weekend, you get into Friday, they have struggles with the car. It's frustrated that there's no grip with the car. I don't think it really has anything to do with the flexi wing clamp down.
No,
a lot of it just really
Lewis Hamilton said that was a waste.
I think it didn't. Yeah, I agree with Lewis. I think I kind of tend to agree with him. But we'll see. That needs a couple more races to really flush itself out. But again, going through your tires while you're trying to solve your issues and fix the car and get a faster race car. Where if you look at what Ferrari did with Charles Leclerc, it's a perfect example where Ferrari on Saturday qualifying held back a few soft tires so they could have them for the race, brand new, fresh soft tires. And Leclerc was frustrated by that strategy because he felt like obviously it hindered his qualifying, which it did because he only did one run in Q3 because he didn't have enough. He used 2 new softs in Q1, if I remember correctly, just so he could punch his way out of Q1. And then by the time you get to Q3, you don't have that extra one because you already used it, and they don't want to give him another one because they want to save some for the race.
Right.
And even though they didn't prioritize qualifying, it came out great for him in the race because when that safety car got thrown, Leclerc was able to jump on the new softs that they had saved because of what they did in qualifying, and that allowed him to get P3 in the race. So,
right.
And you look back at it, and if you're like Red Bull, I mean, I think that has to be something they take a look at and address because
yes, yeah,
you don't want to send your driver out on brand new hard tires with whatever it was, 7 to go, 6 to go, whatever the final number was. Like, still, regardless, it's still way too, like, that doesn't make any sense. So, Adam, I think that's definitely something the team needs to take a look at. And then I think at the end of it, that's when the driver needs to take a look at the team. Because...
Wow, you think so?
Well, Adam, I mean, this is a car. Would you say this car is good?
No, I mean, I keep thinking about the Max quote from earlier this weekend where, they're talking about Yuki Tsunoda and his qualifying and how much he struggled. And he's like, well, Yuki's not a pancake. I don't know why he called him a pancake or didn't call him a pancake, but he's like, he's not a pancake. As in, he's not an idiot. He's not a bad driver. What do you think it is? Right? Yeah. He said, what do you think it is? It's clearly the car.
Okay. So we're in agreement that this car is not, like, fantastic.
Total agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you're taking a look into the future, do you think this car is going to get any better?
Oh. No.
Okay. So if you don't feel like the car is going to get any better, then what do you think it's going to be like next year?
Worse. Maybe.
Possibly,
well, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Could be.
There's the reg change.
It's a huge overhaul, Adam. Huge. Right? And what happens if he loses that confidence or the belief that the team can pull something special together for next year? It would be a rough year for him. So I have to say, if you're a 4-time world champion, if you're a 7-time world champion, if you're a world champion regardless, you have to take a look at the team and you need to prioritize your career because your career is only so long. And you always want to try and make sure you're in the best equipment for your career. I mean, the greats always do that, right? If you take a look at all the great drivers, they all do that. They all prioritize the team and they look into the future in the team. And when a driver comes in to the start of a weekend saying, quote, I don't really feel like I'm in this like title fight, paraphrasing, obviously,
right.
Paraphrase off the top too. But again, you get your driver saying that, but they really are in the title fight, then I think you've got yourself a problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, so my next question to you, Tim, is the ultimate revenge for Max to just take George Russell's seat next year?
Oh, man.
I mean, honestly, it's been rumored for so long. Even if you look at Toto Wolff, like, he doesn't go in on Max. He says, he's like, I mean, if it was road rage, which I can't imagine because it was too obvious, then it's not a good thing. But the thing is, I don't know what he aimed for. Did he want George to pass and immediately repass or put George a car behind? And then they told him, yeah, hey, like, actually, he's already admitted it was sort of road rage. And he said, for me, it's just incomprehensible. But again, I don't know exactly what the motivations were. And I don't want to jump on it saying, oh, this was road rage, etc. Let's see what his arguments are. It wasn't nice. So he said, there's a pattern that I've read the great ones, whether it's motor racing or other sports, you just need to have the world against you and perform at the highest possible level. And Max definitely is that guy. And Toto is definitely playing that one quite well for a guy that definitely wants Max Verstappen in his car. So,
I mean,
interesting.
I think, Adam, like, it was coming into this weekend, motorsport.com had reported that Verstappen's exit clause, he had to be outside of the top 4 in the Drivers' Championship by Austria.
Oh, boy.
If he wanted to trigger the out clause for 2026. Now, I believe that's what it was. I'm pretty sure it was. That's what motorsport.com reported. That's different from what we had heard before, which was top 2 by summer break. So now when you look at where he is in the Drivers' Championship, 3rd, I mean, do we really think he's going to fall out of the top 4?
No.
By Austria? Austria is at the end of the month. Like,
I
mean, George has 111 points, Max has 137 points, and Charles Leclerc's in 5th. So it goes 5th for Charles Leclerc at 94 points. 4th, George Russell, 111 points. 3rd, Max Verstappen, 137 points. I don't see how, like, unless Max is DNFing the next few races, I don't see how that's possible. And if that report from motorsport.com is true, then I wouldn't see that he's going anywhere. Like it. So if you're Toto Wolff, then, I mean, I guess you kind of have to provide your opinion, but again, maybe he is walking on eggshells, doesn't want to, upset anything, but maybe he was also waiting to hear what Max had to say because Toto did his press conference immediately following the race. He wouldn't have known what Max had said. So.
No, agreed. And he admitted as much. Now, Nico Hulkenberg, last finish, we're going to move on. Is that cool? We're moving on to the next thing? Or do you have any other thing you want to say on Max?
I think, Adam, like the championship, I think it to this weekend was a huge, blow for Verstappen.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess we should say that. I mean,
100%
it is. Yeah, I mean,
49.
I thought we'd already covered it, but no, we haven't. Yeah, that's friggin' bad, man. That's really bad.
No, I am not laughing at Verstappen or anything.
We know that.
Laughing at our situation, but 49 points back at him is a huge mountain to climb. I mean, he's 2 race victories behind. I don't see, the McLarens or Piastri or Norris, for that matter of fact, DNFing, both of them at the same time or in a race, DNFing just twice. It doesn't make any sense. I couldn't see that happening.
No.
It would have to be that Red Bull figures something out with this car and Max just chips away at it, like we saw last year with Lando v Max, and that's all there is. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, I think today was a huge blow in the Drivers' Championship for him. Huge.
Yeah. I mean, it clearly, it doesn't cost him necessarily the Drivers' Championship, but when you look at who's winning what races, I mean, the reality is, yes, Max has won 2 races, but McLaren have won the other 7. And, that it's very clearly going to be one of those 2 guys. He can't afford to be giving up points like this, even if it's only 9 of them, because forget just Max in this too, Tim. Red Bull, that's a major 9 points for Red Bull. And you look at their standings right now, and it's not looking all that great. I'm looking at, I'm just pulling it up right now. Constructor standings. I mean, they fell below Mercedes today. We knew that was coming for a bit, but it might not be salvageable even now because it's just him. Yuki can't drive the other car. And so what are they going to do? And what is it? It's for every place they fall, that's tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's no way I hate to say it, but there's for the Red Bull fans out there, but there's no way they can win this constructor's title. I mean, that's
pretty clear.
There's no way. I think today, I mean, I don't want to jump back and forth between drivers or anything, but if Yuki had been a little more competitive this weekend, this could have been a race that Max could have won.
Yeah.
Like with strategy.
Yeah.
And so when you say that you're, not in the title fight, or however he phrased it, how did he even phrase it? Quote, doesn't really feel like a fight when we're referencing the championship battle against the two McLarens.
Mm-hmm.
And come on, like he could have, there could have been some potential, like he's doing incredible things, Adam.
He is.
And there is potential there for him to win this championship. Not anymore, but there was. Yep. And it was pretty big, and there was a chance. And as a driver,
he could have had his 5th podium today. He could have. I mean, and really, it's his mistake. I know the hard tires are a thing, but he did make the mistake in the car.
No. And we're not saying that he didn't.
I just think it's key to mention that. Everybody's like, well, I can't believe they put hard tires on him, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he should be able to drive with hard tires for 7 laps.
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, it's like maintaining competitive pace, though.
Yes.
Right. Like like he was going to.
They're coming out of the safety car.
He was going to lose the podium place.
Yeah, you think so? Charles was going to get him.
Yeah. He was losing that. No questions asked. He was either going down to P4 or P5.
Okay.
I don't see a world where he holds on to either one of those positions. There's no way. Not on those tires. No way. Not a chance.
Right.
Not a chance.
Well,
but yeah, we're not saying that that's the reason
Norris
for him driving into the side of George Russell. Like,
no, we're not saying that either.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just looking at this, man. Piastri and Norris, 8 podiums already. Max with 4. 186, 176 for Piastri and Norris, 137 for Max. That's a big lead. That's a big lead for both of those guys to have on him. It's just not that it's insurmountable, but the way the car's been developing, Tim, you make a good point. It's not been great. And
this is all what I'm saying here is the fact that, when you look further into the future with this car and the team, you've had some big people leave. You've had some key personnel leave, and now your team is not only tasked with trying to help you win a 5th driver's title this season, also tasked with getting a car ready for a brand new regulation, making your own engine, which they've never done before, in a engine regulation change that is quite complicated and is requiring way different technology than what they have now. And Red Bull's in charge with, partnering with Ford on some of the stuff to try and build this power unit. We don't know what it's going to be like. So it's hard as a driver. I think, you're, at least for me, I would always be looking at where's the best team? Where can I go to next? I got to win another title. I only have so much time. Like,
yep.
And I think all like world champions think like that. Just always looking for the best equipment and where can we go? Like they all, this guy right here for sure. Like
Ayrton,
Senna. Yeah. Alonso at some points for sure. Like definitely did that. Schumacher. Where is Schumacher? Oh no, he's not up here. Schumacher. So only makes sense, right?
Yep.
We'll see what happens, obviously. Like, we are speculating hard on all
I think it's worth it. I think if we're going to speculate, this is the race to speculate after, right?
Sure.
This could be a huge hinge point for this season.
It
really
could be.
Truly.
It could. I think if anything, Adam, it's the race that loses him the championship for me.
Exactly, because he'll have a heck of a hole to climb out of. Now, maybe one of the teams he wants to consider, Tim, is Sauber. Because a P5 finish for Nico Hulkenberg. Now, Nico admits everything's got to be right. And by the way, this is insane. 2,093 days since he finished this high. His highest finished ever was in Korea, but 123 races ago when he was racing as Daniel Ricciardo's teammates with the Renault Infinity team. Which is kind of wild to think in retrospect.
A long time ago, man.
A long time ago. He finished P5 at the Italian Grand Prix. So he said today, just everything clicked. Good start, mega first lap, made a bunch of positions. And that was the foundations for the race. And after that, I have to be honest, it was a good car, good rhythm, good balance, harmony. The updates paying dividends which was very enjoyable to see. And he said, it's really interesting, Tim. You look at where not just Nico finished, but where Gabriel Bortoleto finished. And he was P12. And that's huge for him. I mean, he's been at the back of the pack most of the time. That's pretty solid. And Jonathan Wheatley afterwards was basically floating. I don't know if you saw his interview.
No,
but
I didn't see it.
He said on the F1 TV post show, he was talking about the fact that they canceled their plane tickets. They're not leaving tonight. They're partying. They're probably partying as we record this. I mean, it's a big, big finish for them, for a team that has had basically next to nothing to celebrate. Let's talk about this. How do they get it done? And is it repeatable even once the end of the year?
It might be repeatable. I mean, the upgrades that they brought to this car really do look like they worked. He even said so himself, which for me, I would say from anyone up and down the grid who brought upgrades this weekend, I would say that the Sauber was the only one that really looked like it worked. Like, it was like very impressive in race pace. This car was friggin' flying, man. Like, in tough conditions, which is important because we're going to get conditions like this moving forward. And if your car can perform really well in really hot, high speed content, then you're probably going to have a good car for the rest of the season. And yeah, they unlocked quite a bit of potential from it, and Hulkenberg really exploited it. I think his second stint for me was the most impressive. Like, he was, I think he went over 30 laps on a set of mediums, if I'm not mistaken. And that for me was the most impressive part of all of this. Had some decent fights with like Alonso and a few other drivers. Like you mentioned, Adam, his start off the top was creative. I'll just call it that. And and I think, Adam, I wouldn't see any reason why he couldn't potentially score some more points later this season. There's no reason why not. Like, if the car's working well in Barcelona, it's going to work well everywhere, because this is the type of track that these teams like to test their stuff on, because it has a mix of everything. Has a mix of high speed, medium speed, and low speed content. So yeah, great drive from Hulkenberg. Happy for the guy. It's been a rough little while for him. Even got out qualified by his teammate. Quite impressively, by the way. His teammate was fast.
No kidding. Yeah,
his teammate was fast. So it's that second stint for me.
Well, good weekend, I think, all around for that team who just looked completely lost last year. And I think that's the key. They got to show some signs of life before Audi takes over. I mean, I know they're the driver lineup for Audi. That is what it is. But I do feel like you need to finish strong in this regulation as much as you can. Try not to be last place like Alpine now is, which is kind of crazy to think. Alpine in last place.
I know.
We'll talk about that in just a minute. But let's get to the McLaren 1-2. As I mentioned before, Tim, they have won 7 of 9 races, and Lando had a great comeback race in Monaco last week, and here we are with Piastri coming back with a great comeback win of his own. He was away from the beginning, and he was gone, and that was it. And there was a couple laps I know that Max led and stuff when they're changing tires or whatever, but this was Oscar Piastri's race, and I just look at this. Norris has 6 career race victories. Piastri's got 5 this year.
Wow.
And it's not that Lando Norris ever had. I mean, you remember 2 years ago, this was a car that was finishing, 17th and 18th, and only 17th and 18th because 2 other cars had crashed at Jeddah. Like, we remember that, right? The 2024 season, the 2023 season, where McLaren snapped into gear midway through the year and all of a sudden had a good car.
Yeah, it was
right?
Austria, I think it was, where they came to life.
And you're like, whoa, okay, maybe this is actually going to be okay. Yeah.
Yep.
But we're still, the focus is still very much on Max because he's the world champion and because he's been so dominant and everybody knows this guy walks on water. He's that good. But I have a feeling that in the next 8 races or 7 races, the shift is going to be from Max versus McLaren to Piastri versus Norris, McLaren versus itself. And, they're trading victories at this point a little bit, but Oscar's winning more of them. He qualified better. He got away better. His starts are better. Starts are better, right? You come out of that first few turns, Lando Norris is in 3rd place.
Yeah,
and he's always got to dig himself out. So, Tim, let's talk a little bit about that. And it seems to be leaning Piastri more than just the points.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, First of all, Andres Stella said after this one he was pretty surprised at how much pace Max had in the race. So we'll just wanted to get that one out there so everybody knew that they actually were surprised at how fast Max was, because they actually were asking the drivers to push more in the second stint because of how much pressure Max was putting on the two of them. And both drivers, both of them saying that they didn't really have anything left to give in that second stint. So I just wanted to also lay that in with my thoughts about, Verstappen earlier. But getting back to Piastri and Lando, because I think you make some good points here. Oscar and his starts were, fantastic. Even his restarts were great. His restart was great. And I think when your Lando, big thing for him is just that, I think, the mental game, right? Just that side of it. And I think from Monaco to here, the consistency was there. It's just that when you're, in Q3 and you're facing your final push lap, and there's probably a little bit more time left out there, or your teammate or rival can find more time, then you kind of want to start looking for more time. And that kind of sends you to overdrive a bit. And I talked about this a tiny bit in the post-qualifying podcast that we did on Saturday. However, that part of it for Lando, I'm not too worried about, because the pace was there. It's the weekends where it's shockingly not there when it should be.
Yes.
And he's just not finding it. Now, like, he had everything sort of dialed in. It was just a little mistake here or there. And I wasn't really too worried about Lando when he got into the race, Adam. Like, he's been racing really well this year. And so I figured that, like, even if he had a bad start or whatever, he was going to be able to make it up. I thought, though, when we got through the safety car restart, Lando was going to be able to have a sniff at going after Piastri. And he just didn't. And I think a lot of it had to do with the dirty air and trying to close up on Oscar and put some pressure on him and trying to pull off a move. And I think Lando just struggled in the dirty air so much. There was literally nothing he could do about it. And this is a clean air championship right now, and we've seen that a lot over the last few races. And then my thoughts on Oscar is just the fact that that guy's just got ice water in his veins, man. He's the new Iceman for me. He sure is awesome. Like,
just calm, cool, doesn't get flustered ever.
Doesn't go up, doesn't go down. Just keeps it right in the middle.
Yeah.
Gives himself what did Andres Stella tell me? He told me he gives himself lots of bandwidth. In his thinking when he keeps himself calmer. Adam, I think I think Oscar's going to be tough to beat. And Lando's going to have to pull out all the stops. I thought Nico Rosberg, he'd said, I'd heard he'd said, what was it? Paraphrasing all this, but like, essentially it's going to be like a mental sort of championship battle between the two of them. Mm-hmm. I tend to agree with them on that. I don't agree with Rosberg on all that much.
On everything.
Yeah, I agree with
hey man, I agree
one.
with Rosberg on a lot more things than I do with Villeneuve. So I know drivers are just a little bit in their own universe, so I don't expect to. But yeah, Rosberg, I can handle Rosberg. He does make some snide remarks every once in a while, but that competitive fire never goes away. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think I'd heard that Lando had deleted some of his social media or something. I'm not following.
Oh, he's not on it, or I guess, or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like I knew.
You should have a manager anyway. You shouldn't be on it.
I knew he wasn't really, like, he'd taken a break from it. I just wasn't sure if he had deleted his all of his social media or just his Instagram or whatever, because I don't follow Lando on social, so I don't know. But I thought I heard that, and if that's true, I think that's a smart idea. I don't think he needs it right now. I think he needs
to focus.
Needs focus the whole way through. That's what I think he needs. And let me tell you, I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. when Lando's quick and confident in qualifying and limiting the mistakes, he is the faster driver in qualifying.
There you go. Lewis Hamilton, very frustrated with his race. There were times where Charles Leclerc was right behind him and lapping at a second faster. Charles obviously ended up on the podium. Lewis ended up passed by Nico Hulkenberg. And that is, that's one of those things where you kind of go, man, what's going on? And you could see him after the race. He was fuming with the conversation. What do you think's going on with Lewis? Is it can't be that the car is all that bad, and this is where it gets frustrating. It seems to be his confidence in it. What are your thoughts?
He wanted out of there so bad, I think, today. Sunday, I should say, when this race was over, Adam, because I don't think he wanted to hang around or do interviews or talk to anyone. Like, it was pretty bad. It was just a bad weekend for him overall. And that's a strange comparison to, I guess, how he was feeling post Monaco, I think it was, and post Imola, because it kind of seemed like he was sort of on the up, starting to kind of get comfortable and sort of gel with the team and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. I would like to know if he was like what the setups look like for the race, because if you go back to what I was saying about Leclerc and how the team prioritized the race for Charles, and straight off the hop when the lights went out, I mean, Leclerc was fast in the race. Like, he was fast, and he was all over Lewis, like opening laps, just all over him until they were told to swap the cars. And I wonder, Adam, if, Charles took the advice from the team that they were going to try and prioritize the Grand Prix over qualifying, because this was a track that they could pass at. This is a track that offers up a bit of chaos here and there every once in a while. This was a track that could potentially bring them some big results, even if they've qualified out of position, which they did, and they capitalized on that. And I wonder if Lewis was geared more towards, if he was thinking more towards qualifying, maybe not the race when it came to setup. That's what I would like to know. Those are just my thoughts on it. Like, because it looked like when he was in quali, he wasn't too bad. But when he was in the race, it was just the car was all over the shop. Like, it didn't look really good at all. And so that makes me wonder if he prioritized qualifying over the Grand Prix. And those are just some of my thoughts on it. Those aren't anything that I've heard. But yeah,
he's gonna have to figure it out. Charles had years to figure it out. Now he's gonna, but he's gonna have to do it quicker. Right?
I must say, like, I've been very impressed with what Leclerc's done this year in that car,
and that's probably what's made it so hard on Lewis, is because he wants to be that, because they're race drivers, of course.
For sure. I just feel, Adam, this is just driving wise, like, Leclerc looks good this year.
He just
Monaco, Monaco, I think, was the race that kind of cemented that for me, because that is a track and a car that probably shouldn't be as fast as they are, but Leclerc made it that. And I think when in this race today, we saw it again, there's just the fact that Leclerc, took something that probably wasn't that great and made it really good. Like, I think he's just driving at him just so well this year.
Yep.
And I'm really looking forward to talking to him when we get to Canada, because I'm going to ask him about it.
I can't wait for that either. I can't wait for that interview. Now, I also want to talk about three other notables. Isaac Hadjar, 7th place. Gasly, 8th place. Fernando Alonso, first time in the points this season in front of his home fans, 9th place. Starting with Isaac Hadjar, I mean, even after qualifying, it was like, man, that was the best he probably could have got out of that car. Obviously, it would have been an 8th place for him if Max hadn't got the penalty. But even so, what more can you expect from that Racing Bulls car?
Man, I don't know, right? I mean, I think he must have just been flying high after PSG after the PSG Inter Milan
Yeah.
Champions League final, where him and Pierre were watching that together. I think that was like a 5-0 final, I think it was,
Yeah.
but he and Gasly taking that one in, and both of them obviously having a pretty good weekend, or pretty good Sunday, I should say. I've been Hajar's been really impressive, man. Like, he has been. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
Please, all I'm saying is please don't promote him. Don't promote him. Give him 2 years in this car. Please give him 2 years in this car. Because what I think you need to do in a situation like this, and this has happened before, Tim. This is, back when Toro Rosso was a Ferrari engine and they were getting ahead of the Renault-powered Red Bull engines. Remember that? That's when Vettel left, and, it wasn't like, why is Ricardo beating, this guy? Why is Ricardo beating up on Vettel? Like, this is weird. This is where you go, okay, the top team is, Max is still there. The top team it has some shit it needs to sort out over the next 18 months. They need to figure out the end of this season, and they really need to make sure they're good next season. In the meantime, leave this guy and this team together and figure out whether you're committed to Liam Lawson long-term or not. But Isaac Hadjar, let him continue to get the most out of this car. Let him get 30 races under his belt before you go and put him in Christian Horner's cutthroat environment, right? Yeah. Let him just do this, because I don't think emotionally that's the right environment to put this guy in. It's got to be more than confidence. It's got to be almost egotistical to step into that Red Bull car. So leave him where he is. Let him have a great year. Let him be a great story, and let the chaos be handled by the veterans, Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think
I'm just begging them.
Yeah, and I think for Alpine and Pierre, like, this is something they really, like, they needed it badly.
They're team wise, they're in last place, Tim.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, they needed this point score badly. Yeah. I think if I heard this right, Gasly had a drinks bottle malfunction too. And this is a tough race to have something like that happen to you, because it's so physical and it's just so hot. Such a tough, physically demanding track that you really need your drinks bottle working overtime for you on this one. And as for Alonso, good result from Fernando, considering, like, he went off track at one point.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Was fighting with Hulkenberg at one point, and then all of a sudden, that safety car really just brought things towards him, which was great, because he had a great qualifying on Sunday. He put in a really impressive lap. I don't know if people saw it, but he was like shaking around in the car after he crossed the start-finish line. He was all fired up and in front of his home crowd and everything. So first points coming at home for Fernando is he had some family. He had a bunch of family there. So he had a bunch of family there watching him. And they were super jacked for him. And it was good to see. Definitely good to see. It was definitely a tough weekend for Aston Martin. So it's good to see.
Yeah, and I want to talk Lance Stroll in just a second.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm looking at the point scores right now, Tim. Between Isaac Hadjar and Yuki Tsunoda. So there is 11 points that separate them. But it's Hadjar, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Sainz, Gasly, and then you get to Yuki Tsunoda. So that is 7 guys within 11 points of each other right now.
Nuts.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah,
that's
great.
Nuts. It's great. The parody is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Lance Stroll and that wrist. So they pull him from the weekend. He's going to go, I don't know if he's gone under the knife yet, but he's going to have surgery. Hopefully be ready for the Canadian Grand Prix. But it dates back to that double wrist injury he had before the 2023 season, where he swerved out of the way of a car, fell off his bike, and broke both wrists like less than a month before the season started.
Yeah. From 2023. So when he had the operation and had the pins and the screws inserted into like his wrist and everything, I think it has something to do with that, where either like from what I've heard, it sounds like they're still sort of in the wrist, and I think he is going to see The same doctor that worked on him at the 2023, he's going to see him again. Now, I don't know if he's already seen him or not. I'm not too sure. And we'll see about Canada if he's going to be racing there at all, because at this point, nobody knows. The team doesn't know either. And they're waiting on what the doctors say first to see if he can go and race. But sounds like this has been something he's been dealing with since around Bahrain and Saudi Arabia time. 6 weeks back is around that time, and sounds like he's been in quite a bit of pain from it. As for the drivers that could replace him, that's what's going to be like, if Lance can't race in Canada, I'll be interested to see what they do there, because Felipe Drugovich, who's their reserve driver, well, he's got Le Mans coming up. So I don't.
Well, they did say that he would be prioritizing F1 over the next few weeks, which is wild. So,
okay. I mean, we'll see, right? I mean, yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll have to wait and hear what happens with Lance over the next few days, maybe, and we'll have a clearer picture of whether or not he's going to be racing in Canada. Yeah, tough one though. I mean, read a lot of different reports out there. Some of them saying that he had he was super angry in the garage and was like swearing at people and throwing stuff around or smashing stuff or something, and that's what one of the articles I had read said. Not too sure that's how it all went down. I've heard something different, but again, I mean, I'm only going to know more once I get to talk to him, and that's probably not till Canada, which is a few weeks away. So have to wait and see what happened there.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Tim, there's lots to look out for. And what is the next race, Tim?
Oh, buddy,
it's the next race on the
Canadian
schedule?
Grand Prix, man. It's the best time of the year. It's the best race of the year.
I just wish the Canadian Grand Prix was more interesting. I wish it just had more legendary moments. No, the Canadian Grand Prix is one of the best on the calendar. We're so proud of it. And Tim, you're going to be there.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
It's going to be great.
So you're going to be doing a ton of interviews all weekend with TSN. We'll obviously update people as we go.
For sure. We've been putting out content 14 days out. Every day on TSN, on SportsCenter, we have content since Friday that we've been rolling out every day. Features, sit-down interviews that I've done with drivers recently, and we've been packaging them all together. And we are going to be rolling out F1 content on TSN up until the Friday before the start of Free Practice 1.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. We have a couple of really great features with Kimi Antonelli coming out. We did a great one on the Wall of Champions. We basically sat down with a bunch of drivers and got them to talk us through the Wall of Champions, how they navigate it, and all that kind of stuff. So we built up this really cool piece on that. You and I are going to be doing our sim in a few days' time. Hopefully in a few days' time, if you're not too busy. And yeah, man, like it's probably the most busiest. I would say, like, obviously May and June is the
busiest time of the year for you.
Yeah, it is. It's great though. I'm always like, well, you know how exhausted I am at the end of it, because it's just like go. But I absolutely love it, and I love the race. I love the drivers and the teams getting to come to our country and taking our country in, because that's Adam. We don't do that. I feel this. We don't pump up our country enough sometimes.
I agree with you. So Tim will be, it'll be an earlier Canadian Grand Prix than what we're used to. And that's also a good thing too, because of some of the schedule changes. I believe so anyway. I remember that right. Am I right on that? It's a little bit earlier?
As for
I guess it's roughly always mid.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in terms of when the races like run, we usually do the Canadian Grand Prix during Father's Day. So that's usually when
then
the Canadian Grand Prix is usually on. Mm-hmm. I think last year it was the week before, if I'm not mistaken, and then this year it's the week of Father's Day. So we did a big piece on like Father's Day and the drivers' dads and all that kind of stuff too. So that's going to be rolled out. The race itself is on at 2 p.m., which I think, yes, is earlier than normal, than when we normally have it. I want to say it was around 3:30 last year. So it got pushed, moved backwards. Now I'm not too sure why that is. We'll find out more when we get there, but I've seen pictures of the track getting all built up, and it looks like they got a lot of new stuff there, and some of the infrastructure of the tracks changed a little bit, not the track itself, but like grandstands and all that kind of stuff, which is awesome. I mean, sold out event. I mean, what more can you ask for, dude? It's
going to be beautiful.
Yeah, in 1 year, man, we get this podcast bigger, you and I will do something there. It'll be fun.
Hell yeah. I can't wait. This is the thing. Everybody that's here right now, you're just here for the start. This is just, we're growing. We're growing. We're piece by piece, baby. Piece by piece.
So I would say, please stick with us.
Let's go. No, not just stick with us. Tell all your friends about us. All your F1 friends. Let them in on the secret. Okay, so Tim, love doing the show today.
Yeah,
what we're going to do, because you got a busy time, is we're going to figure out our schedule in the next couple of weeks. But we are going to get our sim racing ready to go, and then we will be back at very least next Thursday to drop a pre-pod for you. And by the way, Tim, you will probably be in Montreal at that point.
I will. I think I fly in on the Tuesday, buddy.
Let's go. It's going to be a great one.
Yes, sir. It's going to be awesome. Thanks, Adam, for doing this. Appreciate it, dude.
Thank you.